Welcome back to a Friday edition of the Morning Show, but not just any Friday, it is New Year's Eve. And traditionally, this is the time that Sean and I sit and take a look back on the year that was when it comes to movies and new releases and things that are happening. And of course, we haven't really talked much about theater experiences for a while, although they are open and people have.
Oh, I directed a play this year, and we had a lot of fun doing Tuna Christmas here for the Christmas show. So.
Yeah, but again, now we're going back the other direction with all the warnings about Omicron. I'm sure a lot of folks are thinking twice. But the good news is, if you have any of the streaming services, if you look at your top 10 picks, a good number of them you can watch at home this year.
Matter of fact, a couple of them you can only watch them at home.
Oh, really?
For example, Coda, which is on my top 10. Really never played in many theaters, but
Power of the Dog would probably be another example.
Power of the Dog did get some theatrical stuff. And here's the interesting thing. I do think as we get the Academy Award nominations, some of these movies are going to make their way into theaters again, just to give people a second chance to see them. So.
All right, you're looking at the bottom half of the top 10. King Richard, which again is about
Serena and Venus Williams, and more importantly, their father. So
and Oscar nomination mentions going out to Will Smith for his portrayal there.
Probably easily the front runner. So
really,
people love him, and it's about time to give him an Academy Award. And it's probably the best thing he's done.
Is that reason enough to watch the film? His portrayal?
No. And here's the interesting thing: all of these movies this year, I would say that the majority of them are feel-good movies, and that is certainly one of the biggest crowd pleasers. I think you'll go in that cheering on Venus and Serena Williams, but also cheering on the family-first nature of that movie. I think it's really well done, and it's got a good spirit to it.
All right, let's go back to that bottom five, and we'll just run through them quickly for you. Lost Daughter, which I believe opens today. Right?
On Netflix today, so you can check that one out here. Tragedy Macbeth on Apple, that won't come out till mid-January. But In the Heights was out. Coda is on Apple. So let's talk about that Lost Daughter for a real quick moment here. That is a very good, not a feel-good movie. Olivia Colman's story about a woman who is on vacation. She sees a young mother with her daughter, and remembers some of the decisions she made as a young mother, and it's about the pressures put on women to be perfect mothers and trying to have a career. Solid movie, great acting, not just from her, but also Jessie Buckley and Dakota Johnson. But it's not a feel-good movie. So.
Interesting. I mean, this is an actress who for years has been practicing her craft, but for, say, the last 2 or 3 years has been on such a run.
Yeah,
It seems like Olivia Colman shows up in every movie that people are talking about.
Of note, yeah. And that's because she's the queen, I mean, so for so many people, she just went through and she became part of their lives. And so time to parlay that into some big movies.
And let me suggest, if you have not seen Coda, which is also on that bottom 5, highly suggested. It's another one of those movies that I'm not sure it qualifies as a feel-good movie. Some part of it is, maybe to some degree, but it's also a struggle movie.
Well, yeah.
That some people will look at and say, well, I applaud it because it caters and talks about a segment of the population in this country and in the world that's often ignored when it comes to entertainment, and that is the deaf community.
Deaf community, yeah. CODA stands for Children of Deaf Adults, and so I agree with you. I think it's a brilliant. I think it's a very feel-good film, but I think it's the family story. The bond between this whole family is just wonderful.
All right, and let's move to the top 5 because this is, to me, an interesting list. We've argued films for 20 years. So what should be at the top, and your picks. I have to qualify mine by saying, unfortunately, I've not seen your number 1 pick. I'm looking forward to it, which is, if you can put those top 5 up, we'll show you Belfast, which has gotten a lot of press and a lot of attention. I think because of the story, because of the black and white as opposed to color.
Because Ireland also, in the 60s, they couldn't afford color.
To tell the story. And to me, though, I sometimes think by doing that, it makes the story that much more impactful. That you take that away, the power of color, and you make it a stark difference of grays and blacks and whites.
Well, and it also tells you that we're making an art film first and foremost here. But I got to tell you, it's such a Van Morrison heavy score, and I adore Van Morrison.
I like Van Morrison.
And so I got to tell you, I was sitting here I had this rosy feeling all the way through. Another feel-good movie. Story of Kenneth Branagh in Ireland in the late 60s.
It's a coming of age, right?
It's a coming of age, but it's him coming of age in the middle of the Troubles. So Ireland is tearing itself apart.
Right,
People are
right.
getting killed. And his family has to flee to England. It's interesting. I don't think of him as Irish. I think of him as English.
I think most people would.
But I just think this is a wonderful film. Quintet of really good acting performances, including Jude Hill as this young boy playing him, who's, I guess he's 8 or something. Just sweet looking film about family, a film about parents who are deeply in love. I love seeing this family, suddenly break into dance or break into song. Just
Yeah, and it is nice and refreshing to see, instead of seeing discord and dysfunctional, that we see a family, that stays together, that perseveres.
And they have
through
their
these troubled
fights,
times. Well,
but
of
they
course
obviously love each other. So I really like that. So.
All right, and we got to go down through the list just real quickly so that we can name them all. Power of the Dog, if you've not seen this, to me, maybe they're strong. I know you're saying Will Smith, but I would also argue there are some
Benedict
performances
Cumberbatch,
there.
yeah.
Cumberbatch, and I think Kristen Dunst is kind of overlooked in this movie.
Well, Cody Smith-McPhee is probably also
as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's some great acting there. Licorice Pizza, West Side Story, of course, the retelling by
Steven
maybe one
Spielberg.
of the best directors of his generation, and then Dune, which if you haven't seen Dune, and again the visuals are just they're eye-popping.
I don't think the acting is what you see
No.
Dune, but that's a movie that is unfilmable for so many years. People said
Right.
you can't make this. I mean, Frank Herbert wrote it. Honestly, it was rumored that he was just taking LSD at the time. So some of those images are out of this world, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, but well done.
And boy, yeah, really well done. That's why that's on my list
All
right
right,
there.
John, always good to see you. Top 10's out. You got lots of time as we head into the new year. Check them out. Many of them, as we said, are streaming into your home.